You guys been waiting for how to change the buttons and the buttons and the controls and the steering wheel to LEDs. Um First I'm gonna tell you how you're supposed to do it by the manufacturers. The manufacturer, how you're supposed to do it, and then I'm gonna show you how I did it. Okay? So first you have to disconnect the battery. Make sure you take off the positive and the negative terminals on the battery. I take off both of them just to be sure, but I don't think you have to take off both. Just take off the ground and you should be fine. Leave it off for like 10 minutes at least before you start doing it. You understand? Because when you're dealing with the steering wheel, you have to take the airbag out, and in order to take the airbag out, you don't want the airbag to deploy on you when you're taking it out. You don't want the airbag to deploy. So I'm gonna show you what you need to do, and that's what I'll go from there. There's a panel. What the hell is it? Down here. See, like right here. There's a panel here under the steering wheel. You gotta pop that open. That panel right here. It just pops out. You just grab it from the bottom here, and it'll come out. Then you'll see this yellow tab here. This yellow tab. Okay. Then you just disconnect this tab. You disconnect it by pressing down on this end, and then just separating the socket from one another. So that's going to disconnect the airbag from getting electricity or whatever from the car, but they already did that. So once you disconnect that, after the battery's been disconnected for like 10 minutes, you come over here on the side of the steering wheel, and there's a Torx 30 screw inside of the steering wheel. This is what's holding in the airbag. There's one on this side, and there's one on the other side of the steering wheel also, which I'm going to show you, where I was having a pain in the ass to get the bolt out. Look at that screw. It's damaged. It's not coming out. There's no way that's coming out. It just wouldn't move. It wouldn't budge. That was the problem that I had with my airbag, while I wasn't able to make a video for you guys. So once you take out those two screws, this one and the other one, the other screw on the side, the airbag, this piece right here, this middle piece of the airbag will come out. Okay, and once that middle piece of the airbag comes out, you'll see like a little latch connected to the airbag. You just slide it off. It's just a little connection piece, and you slide it off. Now, I have extra buttons here, just like I had extra engine mounts, so I'm able to show you guys what it looks like. This is the button that broke when I did it the way that I did it, because I couldn't get out the screws. So I had to, well, I'm gonna show you guys. So you just the button's gonna be sitting like this, and you just unscrew it. There's gonna be screws, two screws right here. You just unscrew the two screws that's holding this in right here, and this comes right out. And then you flip it over, and you'll see the holes. These are the holes where the bulbs go, where the the T3 bulbs go. So you unscrew the regular OEM bulbs, and you put these in, and then you put it back where it was, but you don't screw it back in, okay? Because you still need to check and see if it's going to get electricity. You need to see if the bulbs need to be flipped over. So with the airbag disconnected, you reconnected the power battery just to check it, and you turn on the headlights. So you turn it one time to check and see if it's lit up, and then if it's lit up, then you just disconnect the battery again. And well, make sure you check both of them first. When you put in and install both of them, make sure that you check them first to make sure the LEDs are lighting up. And if they're not, then just flip them 360 degrees, and it should light up. So it's two on this one, and it sits here, and there's two on this one, which this one has the bulbs in it already, which I just took out. This is the cruise control button. This is what it looks like, and this is the back of it. This is what the back of it looks like. You just unscrew these bulbs with a flat head, and then put in the Neo Wedge LED bulbs in that same spot, and that's it, and put it back, and then, you know, put the battery back on, connect it real quick just to check it. Then you turn this light, you turn it on once just to check it to see if they're lighting up. That's what you do. And then you turn it off, and then you disconnect the battery, you put this back, see if everything is lighting up properly like it's supposed to. Then you do that, but make sure you do this one too, because this is the hands-free link. So make sure with the hands-free link, this is where the light bulbs are on the hands-free link. These are on the side instead of them shining directly into it, into the housing. It shines sideways into it, so it might not be as bright as the other ones, but it'll still shine through. You'll still notice that there are LEDs in there and it's still bright. So I'm letting you guys know ahead of time. And then just like I said, you know, you just unscrew them, and you put the bulbs in. You check this one too, just like how I told you to check these, and then you put it back on, and that's it. And then you just put this back on, and then once you put all the bulbs in it, you test all of them to make sure all the lights are lighting up. Then you put the airbag back. First you put the airbag back, then you put the screws back in the airbag, then you reconnect this at the bottom. All right, then you reconnect that, and then you put the battery, then you reconnect, you put the cover back on, and then you reconnect the battery cable under the hood. Then you reconnect the negative battery cable, and that's it. You're done. You finished your LED. You finished changing the buttons in your LED steering wheel. Then once you finish, you just turn it on again to check and see if all your buttons light up. And once all your buttons light up, you're good to go. But you would have already checked all the lights to make sure everything was working before you put the airbag back. Make sure that you check to make sure it's all working first before you put the airbag back in. All you have to do is turn the headlight on one time. Like, not turn it on all the way, but just turn it once. From the off position to this position, and it'll light up the steering wheel so you could see everything. But make sure you test them first before you put everything back. You know, if you can't get this Torx screw out, which is the one that was a pain in the ass. This one was easy, and it's a Torx 30. It's a Torx 30 screw. You could use it on a ratchet and get a Torx bit on a ratchet and unratchet it, get it out. Some people said, you know, you could get a soldering iron and put the heat on the nut, on the bolt, on the Torx screw, and you heat up the Torx screw with the soldering iron, and then turn it, and it should break it loose because it has Loctite on the threads on the Torx screw. All right, now I'm gonna show you guys how I did it. Right now, how I did it was that there's screws here behind the steering wheel. Behind the steering wheel, there's screws. I'm gonna show you where the holes are. It might get a little weird, but I'm gonna show you. See, there's a hole right here. There's a screw in here, and oh, there's more screws in there. There's two on each side. Okay. Yeah. There's one right here. There's a screw right here in this hole, and there's a screw right here in this hole. All right. Then there's another screw on the other side right here, right? And then there's another screw on the inside right here. See if I can get it at an angle. It's right here. There's a hole right here for the screw. So once you take out those two screws behind here and those two screws behind here, you should be able to, with the battery disconnected, you should be able to pry this out. Like, use a a flathead or something and pry this out. But what I would recommend doing is there's a wire that connects each one to each other in the back. If you can't get those Torx screws out, then this is the way to do it. This is the way that I did it, and this is the way I'm telling you. So what you do is you do this one first, because this one has more slack on it on the wiring, so it's easy to pop out. So with the wiring, it connects to here, right? The wiring connects to this piece here, so it sits like this. All right, so since it sits like this, all you have to do is slide this piece right here to the side, away from the airbag under here. Now what I did was I pried it up, this piece, I pried it up with a flathead, and it popped it out. It brought it out a little bit, and then I used a flathead, a little flathead, to push the connection off of this piece. I use the flathead because there's a socket in there, a green socket that snaps onto this. So you'll see the green socket and you'll see the tab where you have to press on it. Just use the flathead and press it on that, on the socket, and then just slide this out and it'll come out. This will come right out, and the disconnect, then you could change the bulbs in the back. And then you put it in, you don't put it in, you just plug it in. Reconnect it, plug it back in, just to check it to see if the lights is on, just like I told you to do. Turn it on once just to check and see if it lights up, and then if it doesn't, just flip it over, flip it around 360 degrees to wait for it to light up. Okay, and then the same thing that I told you to do for this one, but leave this one out while you're doing it, because this one doesn't have a lot of pull on it when it comes to the wire. It doesn't have a lot of slack on it like this one does. This one has a lot of slack on it, so this one is easy to take out. But if you leave this one out before you take this one out, you'll have a lot of slack, because that wire that's over here that's connected to this one, it'll pull this way to the side a little, so you can get more space to pull this one out, so it'll make the job a lot easier for you. I'm telling you this because I witnessed that, because what I did was I did one, put it back in, then did the next one, and then had trouble with this one, and then this ended up happening. The side piece where it was supposed to be, that was sitting in here, it snapped off, it broke, so I had to get a whole new set of replacement knobs on eBay. They weren't expensive, they were like $30 for two, but it's whatever. But as I'm explaining to you, you just jimmy it out the side. There's going to be a green socket connected to the end over here, just like this one. It's going to be just like that, and you just, there's plenty of room, like there's plenty of space, like you can push up against this and pop this out the side here this way, and just push up against the airbag to the side and push on this. There's a lot of pushing room with these stuff here. There's the fabric and the stuff, so it makes it so it'll make it a little bit easier to pull out, you know, knowing that you don't have this one in, so it's giving you enough slack to pull on this. Okay, and then like I said, you just flip it over. Once you get it out, you just flip it over. Well, make sure you disconnect it first. Use the flathead to push off the tab, the green tab that's connected to this behind the steering wheel. And then with that, you take it out, you change the bulbs, test it again. If it lights up, you know what to do, flip it around or whatever, and then go from here. Now with this one, the side one that I did, which is this one, this one was a little bit more difficult, but I was able to get it out anyway, because, you know, I just like to figure shit out. So this right here, this cap right here that's on here, don't be scared, it'll pop off, because it's just two tabs holding it on the side here. So you just pry that off, and then when you pry that off, this is what you'll see on the side. And then you take out the two screws that's here. There's gonna be two screws holding it in, and then that's it. And then you just pull it off to the side, and then there's gonna be a tab in here that connects in there. You just disconnect that tab and pull it out, and then you'll see the bulb sockets here. You put the two bulbs in here, you plug it back in, you test it, and then you put everything back, put the cover back, and that's it, you're done. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Check out my Instagram, Fabulous G Forever, same as my YouTube name. Don't forget to support my channel and subscribe. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks.